Hey! I'm Paula from Paula Passionately Proclaims. This is my husband Andrew.
Oh.
And we are just in our kitchen and we're about to open up the Bible here and get started in Genesis chapter 6. And we're starting with the story of Noah, in the days of Noah. And we have been away for a few weeks. We've had
5?
No, not 5. It's been 3.
Oh, seems like longer.
It does seem like what seems like forever. We've had 2 weeks where we were sick, and then last week we were doing some spring cleaning, so we had a very busy weekend. So yeah, we're back now though.
Yep.
Sorry, it's been a minute. So what went on this week? We had the the Aurora Borealis. Yeah. We didn't get to see it though because we were busy. Well, yeah. But we were busy and we had to get up early this morning for church, and so yeah, we missed out. But most of Canada saw the Northern Lights. Beautiful. I saw the pictures and it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it did look nice.
I wish we could have. We'll have to watch because I would really like. That's like for the show that was over this past weekend. That's almost like a once in a lifetime thing, at least for on the island anyway. Like, that's crazy. So we'll have to watch because I've never seen him before and I would really like to.
We could go to Rankin. We could try around town.
No.
We could go in the winter too.
No. Anyway. Yeah, so it's Mother's Day and I'm not really a mommy, but I got some beautiful I love you flowers from my dear husband.
Yep.
And they were giving away roses at church, so I got a rose from my pastor and I threw that in the bundle as well. That was really pretty. So yeah. Enjoy the flowers while we do our Bible study. Did you want to pray before we get started?
Alrighty. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, God. Thank you for your word, and let it inspire us, and let our hearts receive your word and what you have in it. In your holy name, Jesus, amen.
Amen. So this Bible study is called Think on These Things, and we are going through right now the Old Testament. Right now we're in Genesis chapter 6, so if you have a Bible you can follow along, or you can use the Bible app on your phones and follow along there. I'm reading from the NLT version, and you have the King James.
King James. Good old King James.
Good old NLT. Anyway. Okay, so I am just gonna jump in here, I guess. A World Gone Wrong, chapter 6. Then the people began to multiply on the earth, and the daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw the beautiful women, and took any that they wanted as their wives. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not put up with these humans for such a long time." Because remember, they were living, into the 900 something years old before. In chapter 5, it was talking about that. So then the Lord said, "My spirit will not put up with these humans for such a long time. They are only mortal flesh. In the future, their normal lifespan will be no more than 120 years. In those days, and for some time after, giant Nephilites lived on the earth, and whenever the sons of God had intercourse with women, they gave birth to children who became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times." So that would be like the gods and goddesses, right?
Yeah, it could have been, and also if you want to go Greek mythology,
Yeah.
you had Hercules
Yeah.
or Hector or Achilles. You'd see men like that and the feats they would perform, and you're like, oh, okay. It could have been like truth to that, where they saw all these men doing superhuman things.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I just thought, like, if the Greek mythology and whatnot, all these other mythologies,
Yeah.
and they had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I think
if the Bible,
those,
it says, they became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. So, I mean, why wouldn't they be those?
yeah, I totally agree with you there.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that would tie them in. You know, that would make any sense, that maybe they were actually real, but they were just not human or fully human.
Yeah.
Verse 5. The Lord observed the extent of human wickedness on the earth, and he saw that everything they thought or imagined was consistently and totally evil. So the Lord was sorry that he had ever even made them and put them on the earth. It broke his heart. And the Lord said, I will wipe this human race I have created from the face of the earth. Yes, and I will destroy every living thing, all the people, the large animals, the small animals that scurry along the ground, and even the birds of the sky. I am sorry I ever made them. But Noah found favor with the Lord. So, I was thinking about this, right? And I was like, why on earth would God want to, like, killing off the evil people? That's one thing, right? But why on earth would he want to kill off the animals? Because I was like, the poor animals, they didn't do anything wrong. Like, they're little innocent creatures, right? You know, I mean, maybe they have their little whatevers, but they're not like the sinful people. So I was like, why would God want to destroy them? So I got to thinking, and you're probably like, I already know this, blah, blah, blah. But I got to thinking about it because I just, like, I didn't ever think about it before. And I think that the reason why is because by the time all of the people, like, got replenished on the earth would be so overrun with animals.
I suppose. I mean, they would have been killing, like, lions are going to be eating the lion food and so on, so nature would have balanced itself.
Yeah, but, I mean, if you have the animals the way that they were, because you had hundreds and hundreds of years before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had the animals, how many there were before, right?
Yeah.
And then you killed off the people.
Yeah.
All except for, like, Noah's family. So then you killed off everybody, but you had all these animals that were filling the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Then you only have, like, 8 people. Like, the balance is really off.
No, but you're going to have your herbivores and carnivores, and carnivores are going to eat the herbivores.
Okay. So then why do you think God wanted to kill off the little animals? Or even the big animals?
I think they were, he saw them like corrupt as well.
Why? What do you think they were doing? Because, I mean,
I don't know, but maybe he just wanted, like, nuke and pave. Your computer has a virus that you can't get rid of, so you're like, I'll delete everything, absolutely everything, and reinstall the operating system.
Yeah, but if he was going to do that, then why wouldn't he have killed off Noah and his family? Because even though they were righteous, they were still sinners.
Oh, they were, but it's God's grace.
Then why didn't he leave the animals alone? This is my question.
I don't know. I'm just guessing maybe he said it's like, okay, we'll just get rid of, these animals. Maybe there were some animals that were corrupted as well.
But what were the animals doing that was so corrupt?
I don't know.
I understand, like, sometimes our cat, Fernie, she gets a little uppity.
But, you're asking me these questions. I'm not too sure. I can speculate. There could have been when it says, in the third verse, the second verse, where, this would have been the fallen angels or marrying
the
Nephilim. They're marrying the humans, women, and making the men a renown. What if they did things to animals as well? Idea of, say, being corrupt, where you'd get like a centaur or a minotaur or all those things.
Well, I
could be wrong there. Just doesn't mention any of those.
But wouldn't those have been one of the Nephilim?
Like a minotaur?
Yeah.
Possibly. Again.
They weren't necessarily giant minotaurs, or whatever they are, but I don't know.
Me neither.
Well, that's just...
And if anybody wants to comment and think what they think, that would be insightful. It's like, what do you think? Because...
I have a scratch on my hand. Oh, well, sorry. Didn't you?
Like, someone might have a deeper understanding than us, or they may have a different view than us, and be like, I think I might have been like this.
Yeah. Different thoughts, different
It's like, viewpoints. It's like, what did the centipedes or the voles or the osprey, what did they do? They were just doing their animal thing. They're just being animals.
Yeah.
Were the animals' hearts corrupted as well by sin? Did they receive the same curse?
Fernie, is your heart corrupted by sin? Because I think it might be. She's a bit of a Judy attitudey, so...
But, so were they? Was all of the creation, was it corrupt?
I don't know, because then you've got, like, he destroyed everything, right? Like, even the plants and trees and everything. Like, the whole... So, like, were trees corrupt? Or were they just in the way?
Probably in the way.
See, like... But haven't you ever seen Fern Gully? Can't you feel its pain?
What Fern Gully?
Really? The little cartoon.
Yes, but there was 2 Fern Gullies. Then...
the original one.
Okay.
That's the only one worth watching.
Then there's Space Fern Gully. Avatar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this is going to take forever to get through. I can tell you that. As this stuff is interesting and thought-provoking. Hence, think on these things. Okay, the story of Noah, verse 9. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, the only blameless person living on earth at that time. And, which is crazy. That's crazy.
What is?
That he would be the only righteous person out of all the people. Like, how does that even happen?
I don't know. Think of Lot and his family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of a whole city, there was Lot and his family that were righteous.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so Noah was the only righteous man living on earth at that time, and he walked in close fellowship with God. Noah was the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now God saw that the earth had become corrupt and was filled with violence. God observed all this corruption in the world, for everyone on earth was corrupt. But then if only Noah was righteous, then why were his sons saved? His sons and their wives and his wife. Mrs. Noah.
Mrs. Noah. Well, they probably followed closely what his dad practiced.
Yeah.
And Noah was leading by example. My dad does this. And we see all this and goes wrong, but what my dad does is good.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's do what my dad's doing and not what the neighbors are doing, kind of thing. They're not keeping up with the Joneses. They're just like minding their own business.
But can we spy on the neighbors? Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. So God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them all out along the earth. Build a large boat from cypress wood, and waterproof it with tar, inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior. Make the boat 450 feet long, which I thought I heard someone say it was like the length of 2 football fields or something like that.
Something like that. It says here 300 cubits.
Yeah, yours would say. Mine says it in feet. Which, for, most people.
But again, it's like you figure Noah, so he was bigger because of pre-flood. So humans were a lot taller.
Yeah.
So his cubit would have been bigger, much bigger than mine.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that.
Because we'll take Shaq O'Neal.
Because you said a cubit is from your
elbow to the tip of your finger.
Okay, yeah.
So you think Shaq O'Neal, he's 7 foot 2 inches. His cubit's going to be far bigger than mine.
Okay, yeah. Make the boat 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Leave an 18-inch opening below the roof all the way around the boat. Put the door on the side and build 3 decks inside the boat, lower, middle, and upper. I thought that was interesting about the 18-inch opening, because when I guess when I think about it, I would think, well, it's raining and flooding and windy and all this, it's moving and all this stuff. Water would splash. Everything should be closed, right? But then you think, of course there's an opening because they need to breathe.
But
and there's probably a lot of smells in there too.
Who was it? I think Kent Hovind figured he might have had a moon pool in the boat.
All right, what's a moon pool?
So a moon pool would be at the bottom of the boat, and there'd be a hole in the boat, but it would have high walls, so the water wouldn't go up. But as the waves moved, it would act like an air pump, so it would help bring in fresh. So if he hit a wave, he'd whoop, go down. That's gonna pump and get some fresh air in there.
Huh.
So that would help circulate the air. So he could have had one big one, or he could have had a few small moon pools. But he probably had a moon pool in there to help with airflow, because with all those animals, it would stink.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, of course they would have like something to vent air for airflow or whatever.
And get some sunlight and get vitamin D.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much sunlight, because it's... Well, I mean, when... After the rains, there would probably be... The sun would come out. Yeah. But before, that'd be a long time without sun.
Yeah, that would be a long time without sun. I did 3 months of zero sun.
Fern and I would go crazy. All that rain and no sun. Oh, my goodness. Okay, where are we now? Look! It starts off with, look!
This then behold.
Behold and look! I like that better. I am about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing that breathes. Everything on the earth will die. But I will confirm my covenant with you. So the entire boat, you and your wife, and your sons and their wives, bring a pair of every kind of animal, a male and a female, into the boat with you to keep them alive during the flood. Pairs of every kind of bird, and every kind of animal, and every kind of small animal that scurries along the ground will come up to you to be kept alive. And be sure to take on board enough food for your family and for all the animals. So Noah did everything exactly as God commanded him. I don't know about you, but I think that's really cool that the animals just like instinctually knew and came
Well, God to go there.
Yeah. From like wherever they were on the earth, they traveled there and
you got to think pre-flood Earth had far less water. They weren't all separated by continents and large bodies of water.
That's true. So it'd be easier to travel. Yeah. But it would still take a while, though.
Yeah, well, he had to build a big old boat.
Yeah, how long did that take?
Probably took a while. Because when did he start making the boat? At 600, right?
Yeah, I think so. I thought I saw that somewhere.
What's this? He was 500 years old. Last verse in chapter 5. He was 500 years old.
Yeah.
When he had his sons. And later on here, it says he's 600 years old when it started raining.
Yeah.
So it took him 100 years to build this boat.
Maybe not.
Or between 100 years of his sons being born and the flood starting.
There was 100 years, yeah, between that, but it could have only taken him maybe like 4 years or 3 years to build the boat.
I mean, there was 4 men building it by hand, a massive boat.
That's true, and if you consider the 4 men that were on a roof.
To just fix the roof, it was 2 weeks.
No. They said it was going to be 2 weeks. It was 4 weeks. Well, 2 weeks.
Well, so, a massive boat, 4 men building it. Plus, they had to still do their other chores of, growing crops.
Yeah.
And tending animals so, they could eat.
Yeah.
And storing up food for that time for...
Yeah, that makes sense because they would have had to have enough food to feed themselves and all the animals.
Yeah.
So, and some of those animals, like elephants, right? They're big, so they require a lot of food.
What would have been a baby? It would have been like adolescent animals. You're not going to take a big old elephant because it takes all the space up. You get a baby elephant.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because the boat would have to be a lot larger. But still, you'd have adolescents, you'd be young animals, so they're smaller. So smaller, they eat less food. And usually, like baby animals, they like to sleep a lot.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. And you got this boat, right? And it's like rocking on the waves. So that would, rock them to sleep. Like,
maybe, or have upset tummies.
Or that. That was the real reason for the 18-inch hole.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Chapter 7. The flood covers the earth. When everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into your boat with all your family, for among all the people of the earth, I can see that you alone are righteous. Take with you 7 pairs, male and female, of each animal that I have approved for eating and for sacrifice, and take 1 pair of each of the others. Also take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and female in each pair to ensure that all life will survive on the earth after the flood. 7 days from now, I will make the rains pour down on the earth, and it will rain for 40 days and 40 nights, until I have wiped from the earth all the living things I have created." So Noah did everything as the Lord commanded him. Verse 6. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood. He and his wife and his sons and their wives. With them were all the various kinds of animals, those approved for eating and for sacrifice, and those that were not, along with all the birds and the small animals that scurry along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God commanded Noah. After 7 days, the waters of the flood came and covered the earth. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 7th day of the 2nd month, all of the underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in a mighty torrents from the sky. The rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. So it was, because their New Year is in April, so it would have been the 2nd month, so May 17th.
Okay.
Almost where we are now.
Hopefully there's no flooding.
Verse 13. That very day, Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. With them in the boat were pairs of animals of every kind, domestic and wild, large and small, along with birds of every kind. 2 by 2 they came into the boat, representing every living thing that breathes. A male and female of each kind entered, just as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord closed the door behind them, which I thought was interesting to note, like when it says the Lord closed the door behind them, like, and like when God closes a door, like he's the only one that can reopen it. Yeah.
And my thoughts on the time that Noah started building until the very last they get on the boat and shut it. That's a big boat. That'd be a boat so unnecessary to build that big if it was for, say, a boat for traveling across a body of water or for fishing or navigating a river. It'd be so there'd be people watching him being, look at this dum-dum.
Yeah.
And they'd be laughing at him.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing, Noah? He'd be like, building a boat. And God's going to flood the earth and they're going to laugh.
Yeah. Because it had never rained before up to that point.
Yeah, it's like...
They didn't know what rain was.
It's like, you're crazy. They thought he was probably just like a loopy Noah. Look what he's doing. But God was like, I'm giving you some time to maybe clue in.
Noah's gonna Noah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we need a t-shirt that says that.
But there was 100-year window where people could have turned their hearts and their eyes towards God and repent.
Yeah.
Like it's like, this is happening. that's mercy right there.
Yes, it is.
He was showing, there was a grace period. He was showing a grace period of 100 years, saying, because they would have asked, come on, if your neighbor's building a massive boat, curiosity's going to get the best of you. You can be like, what's a big boat for?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, like like nosy neighbors, right? Like everybody's peeping out the curtains, like,
someone goes in the driveway to turn around. You're like, what are you doing in my driveway?
Right? What are you doing there, Noah?
But so 100 years of grace God showed.
Yeah, but see, I was just thinking that what popped into my head when you said that was the Bible talks about the end times, right? Like the last days are going to be like the days of Noah, right? And now I'm not saying that this is true, that this is going to be like, this is the way it is. But what if God, like, as in the days of Noah, gives 100-year mercy period, grace period for people to
turn to him,
decide to turn to him or not. You know what I mean?
I don't know that it'd be 100 years, but God, all through you read, and God's like, I'm going to show you some mercy. I'm showing you grace. Think of Pharaoh, and Moses like, let my people go. He's like, nope. And God's like, here you go. And all these things some of them were bad, but it was just like, they kept increasingly getting worse. Because Pharaoh's like, nope. Because Pharaoh thought he was God in the flesh. That's what the Egyptians thought. Pharaoh was God.
Yeah.
Then God's like, all right, all firstborn are dead. Here's something, you can listen to me now. I showed you mercy, and here it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to mind what I'm saying, but World War II, Americans dropped a nuke. Boom. It's like, surrender. They're like, no, I don't believe you. They didn't believe a weapon would be, and they're like, we'll drop another one, surrender. They didn't, and then they dropped a second one.
Yeah.
Then they're like, okay, surrender.
Yeah.
But it's like God was showing a grace period.
But that just makes me wonder, like, is right now the grace period, or is there a grace period still yet to come, or like an extent, or are we at the beginning of the grace period that might extend for like I don't know.
I don't know.
Or was the grace period the time that Jesus, when he ascended to heaven, and these 2,000 whatever odd years?
Saying possibly, but he's like, I'm not coming back until everybody has heard my word.
Right.
So that's a grace period.
Yeah.
So when that happens, he's like, okay, everybody's heard it at least once. I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm telling you this. And it says, again, there's going to be end times, there's going to be scoffers. She's like, yeah, whatever, God. There's no God.
Well, there's so many scoffers out there, it's ridiculous.
That's where they're in their hearts are just like, then that's one where it says, many times God just, let their heart turn to their sin. It's like, okay, yeah. you really want this. I tried to save you from it. Here you go. This is what you wanted.
Yeah.
In the end, they're like, why? And it's like, because you wanted it.
Yeah.
But 100 years of grace.
Yeah. And I'm just posing different questions like, could it possibly be, what if? I'm not saying that I necessarily believe all of these things.
It's just like, hey, is this possible? It's like, again, think on these things. It's like, hey, look, why not?
Yeah. But I don't know, that was very interesting.
It's right here.
Yeah, but that doesn't help me here. Thank you so much. Genesis 7 verse 17. For 40 days the floodwaters grew deeper, covering the ground and lifting the boat high above the earth. As the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountains of the earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peaks. That's crazy. That's a lot of water. All of the living things on earth died. Birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on earth. People, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and the birds of the sky. All were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those with him in the boat. And the floodwaters covered the earth for 150 days. So, was going to say this before, and I forgot. But it just kind of popped back into my head. So, do you think that God would have, if somebody had decided to follow Noah, do you think that God would have allowed that person to join them on the ark?
Yes, 100%. If they came to God and go, Lord, I repent, I'm sorry, and turned away from what they were doing and turned to God, yes, that's how we have salvation.
Right. But I was just thinking, like, because a lot of times, like, when you have, now not always, right? But like when you have, like, let's say, okay, we'll use a, I don't know, some kind of criminal, like a rapist, okay. And so you've got this rapist, right? And they decide that they're going to turn and follow Noah, right? But, to be saved from this floodwater, if that, they've never seen before, if it actually occurs.
Yeah.
And then that person, when they get, when everything is renewed and restored and, growing on the earth again and everything, you get off the boat, then what if that person then decides to reoffend? Like, I know God would know their heart and their intentions, but that's what I'm saying. Like, would God automatically allow that person or would he, would he be like, no, because I can read your heart and you're not genuine or whatever?
Okay, that's a question that we'll have to ask God, because I can't answer that. I don't know. But if someone, you can't fool God.
Because the whole thing was exactly. And the whole thing was about recreating and getting, a more, like, a righteous.
There was still sin. No, there was still a sinner.
Yeah.
But it's like, in God's eyes, he was righteous because he was always seeking God. He was seeking God's face.
Yeah.
So with this rapist went, okay, I'm turning my ways, and his heart truly changed. That's when it's like you accept Christ. It's just not words. It's your heart changing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want this.
Yeah. But how, like, I mean, aside from God, like, only people would be, like, needing to question, is this guy's true motives and intentions, like, legit, or is he just doing it for selfish reasons to try to, save his own neck? Again, that's us being flawed,
saying, "Oh, I think this."
Yeah.
Us judging them on their prior, and it's for us. It's hard for us to get over things like that.
Yeah.
We're God. It's like, okay, you repented. Okay, it's gone. Where we can't do that. Oh, we can do that, but it's not a thing that comes easy for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just was curious about that. Like, because I mean, I know like God wants people to turn to Him, right? But like, if the person it wasn't sincere, and it was only just to try to save his skin.
Yeah.
You know, like, God would see through that.
Yep.
And like,
well, people do that now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm saved and I do this, and their heart was never in it.
Right. But see, like in this instance, it's like right now this is happening today right kind of thing. Whereas that,
or God be like,
they're living their life until they die or Christ comes back. You know what I mean? And then there's judgment and whatnot. So it's like, it's almost like they get more time now, kind of. Not necessarily more time, but they could get more time if God so chose than what they were given here. They were given 7 days or less here. Well, I mean, they had the whole year or 100 years or whatever it was. Yeah. But I'm just saying, because the last thing we read was he was going to make it rain in 7 days. So that's why I was using that number.
But it's like final countdown. It's like, but I think still the people were just...
Do you think any of them were scared, though?
Noah's family?
No, not Noah's family. Well, they probably were a little bit because, I mean, they knew God was going to protect them, so maybe not. But and knowing that they hadn't ever seen rain and floods before.
Yeah. I don't think it dawned on them until they felt the first drop.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you've never seen anything, you can be like, what is that?
Yeah.
And it's going to rain. That this is continuing, and it's still raining, and after a day, it'll just like, my tent's starting to flood.
Your tent?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the people on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And water keeps on rising, so they would have been, let's head to high ground. And everything would have been...
But do you think, like... Because it says that the waters, like, opened up under the ground. Mm-hmm. Like, the ground kind of... So do you think that happened really fast? It just was like, boom, like, kind of burst open and...
Yeah.
Or do you think that what you were just saying, where they had time, like, it's raining,
well, I mean,
let's go to higher ground.
There would have been, like, lowlands and highlands wherever they were living. So... obviously the lower area of low ground level is going to fill up fast. So you can see this. This is really interesting. You've probably watched it before. I don't know if you remember it, but Kent Hovind's theory on the flood.
I'm sure that I'm not sure which one what you're talking about exactly, but I've watched a lot of his stuff.
Got planet Earth. And above, because it says in Genesis when God created, there was waters above and below.
Yeah.
So, there was probably a layer of water around Earth. Now, that's why we had higher amounts of oxygen. Mm-hmm. So the air pressure was a lot higher. That's why animals got bigger. That's why you had dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And that's why we had giant sloths and other animals, because we see their bones. And when the fountains, fountains of the deep opened and to open up the heavens, so comets are made out of ice mostly, comes up and breaks it open. So now this water starts pouring down. Then it impacts somewhere. And we have fault lines.
Why would it have to, not that I'm like discounting what he's saying, but why would it have to be a comet? Why couldn't God just speak it and it open?
Because if speaking words, right? If I go, oh, that person's a dum-dum, and nobody hears me but that guy, there's no proof. If I text them, you're a dum-dum, there's evidence.
Yeah.
So God would use a comet, something tangible, something physical to leave evidence behind.
But the comet would have been destroyed. So where would be the evidence?
The fault lines.
Oh, okay.
So it hits,
All right.
cracks the fault lines. That's where the water started pouring up everywhere. Because we've got fault lines everywhere on the ground, on the floor of the ocean. Mm-hmm. There's one that goes from California, San Andreas Fault, and it goes all the way up. It goes between Vancouver Island and Vancouver.
Okay.
Then we have, and you think the Pacific Ocean, the Ring of Fire, all that activity, it probably landed around there.
Yeah. I never thought about that.
But then that's where then the poles have ice on them because the frozen water was attracted to the poles. We've seen mammoths with undigested food in their bellies, food still in their mouths, but they were frozen. So they had to do a freezing like extremely quickly. Mm-hmm. Within like minutes. Mm-hmm. And this thing for like froze. Then the snow built. Because they found one fully intact. Standing up. And they're like, how does that happen? It wasn't like how they say Ice Age, it was tens of thousands of years worth. No, there was, if you want to say an Ice Age, it was very quick. Yeah. It happened the same time as the flood.
Yeah. Well, that's...
But people would have been trying to get to high ground.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And that, like you were saying, it would have happened at the same time as the flood. That makes perfect sense.
And there's places where there's fossilized footprints of a person's footprint and a dinosaur footprint. And it's like fossilized. It's like, I guess they lived at the same time. All this thing God left and preserved.
Well, they would have had to, like, the Bible talks about Leviathan and Behemoth and, they would have
dragons.
lived. Yeah.
King Nebuchadnezzar had a dragon.
Which is weird.
Because the word dinosaur is new. It was a new word, but what did they call dinosaurs before? They called them dragons.
Okay. I didn't think about that, actually.
And you think...
When I think of dragon, I think of like a fire-breathing thing that like...
It flies.
Yeah.
It probably did breathe fire because Nebuchadnezzar's did. And where pre-flood, all that air pressure, all that extra oxygen, dinosaurs grew to large sizes.
Yeah.
Now suddenly there's less air pressure, less oxygen, so they grew smaller. But they're still big. And when you got a T-Rex wandering around looking for food, it's going to eat your livestock, it's going to eat your friends and family, so what did you do? You killed it. Mm-hmm. Then you had other dinosaurs. It's like, oh, look at that. It's like walking meat factory. So you killed it for meat.
Yeah.
But so they were just hunted out to extinction. Either they were a threat of some nature, or they were just there for food. And they were consuming more than they're able to replenish their population.
Yeah, that's interesting. Some of that I never thought about, especially like the dragons. Like I never realized, like it never dawned on me that that's what they would have called them.
In China, what was it, last year? in a cave, the Chinese government found a dragon. Wings and everything. And
what now?
Yeah. I mean, I could show you later, but they were...
Do you have a picture? Because I think I need to see this.
So then, it was very, very well preserved with like usable
it's
flesh.
not live.
No, dead.
Oh. Okay. Now, when you say dragon, you're talking the ones that I'm thinking of, the flying, fire-breathing ones? Or are you talking just like a dinosaur that they would have called a dragon? A dinosaur of some nature.
Okay, where is this? Okay.
Well, this is a very interesting little few chapters here.
This is one of them. But...
What? Wow.
So they had...
So what kind of... It doesn't have wings.
And, okay, this is...
It's like, almost serpent-like.
But they took DNA from it that they were able to salvage.
Wait a minute. Is that a Leviathan?
I don't know, but this is what they made from it.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. What?
Yeah, they
cloned it with its DNA?
Well, they took the DNA and took I can't remember what kind of lizard we have now, and they were able to make that and variations.
Oh, they crossed it with something.
Something viable which can, breed. But they did gene splicing and everything.
So they couldn't just Jurassic Park it and, clone it?
Not really, no, because in Jurassic Park they still used...
I thought they used, like incubators and things like that.
Yeah, they did, but they used actual live... But anyways, that's what they...
Do show the camera. The little... both pictures, the big guy.
Okay.
And then the cute little one that he was holding.
There's that, if you can see it.
Move it back a little. It's white, so it's
white.
Really hard.
It's very hard to see. And I'll go back. Because I think this is after they moved it out from the cave.
Was it this guy?
It was this guy.
Is that bigger? Can you make it bigger?
Can I? That's not wanting me to. Yeah, there I go. That was one of them, and I saw a different one when they took it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And all those people standing around it.
But.
So, okay. In Revelation.
Yeah.
They talk about
a dragon.
And they call it Leviathan.
Okay.
And they say something about Leviathan, that old dragon, the serpent, the old dragon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all one and the same.
Yeah.
And they say Leviathan is going to come out of the sea, like he's a sea creature or something. So this guy here, this long thing with all the people standing around, he doesn't have any wings. He's almost like serpent-like, but with but he could easily swim.
More than likely,
but that thing could easily move around quite well in the water, I'm sure.
Now go to the Chinese zodiac.
I don't want to.
But they have all the animals. They have the monkey, and the rooster, and the pig.
Yeah.
And the dog and all these. Then they have a dragon. Why would they have animals that we have
and then
common than a dragon?
Yeah.
Why would they... we'll just make up one. Why not just a dragon?
Yeah.
You know why?
And then they have the parade, right, with the dragon. It's like...
There were dragons.
Yeah.
Even Marco Polo mentioned that one of the emperors, I can't remember, at that time, he had dragons.
Yeah.
He wasn't making something up. He had some kind of dinosaur. And the dragon that's on the Chinese zodiac was probably some kind of dinosaur. Let's call it a dragon. And again, it was probably a threat to people. So they're like, this is a menace. It's eating all my goats or cows or sheep.
Just this cave that this was found in.
Yep.
Was it by water by any chance?
I think it was in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
But, and that could have been a separate one because
it does, in Revelation, it does talk about Leviathan. It's going to be making appearances.
Yeah, and
so,
I think it's going to be frighteningly big.
Yeah, well, that is frighteningly big.
Here's just a depiction of a dragon.
Yeah.
Right? Serpent-like.
Yeah.
But, so,
since in Revelation, it talks about, it's right in the same verse.
Yeah.
The serpent of old or whatever, and it talks the dragon, and it talks about Leviathan. Is that all one and the same?
Possibly.
Because at least we know that the dragon and the serpent is one and the same. Because that's what the verse says. It's specific.
And the Leviathan, because it mentions Leviathan in Job.
Yeah.
And it has sparks, so probably some kind of biochemical reaction that lets it shoot fire.
Yeah.
But we know about 5% of the bottom of the ocean, what it's like.
Yeah, it's not much, yeah.
Because a lot of it's just too hard to see or too hard to get to the depths. There's a lot of water.
Yeah.
So where's Leviathan? Probably in some deep, deep, dark place.
And probably some underwater cave or something.
Or wherever it's living where we don't know. And it's just chilling there. There's so much we don't know.
Chilling like a villain.
There's so much we don't know about our oceans.
Yeah.
So it's down there somewhere, and when it appears, it's
biding its time.
I think it's just. I think the size is going to be unmanageable. Unimaginable.
Yeah, I
can't even speak. What good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?
Oh, okay.
From The Matrix.
Oh. I don't like The Matrix, but it's his favorite movie.
I've seen it over 100 times. Just the size is going to be mind-boggling. Just, I've never seen something that big. We see blue whales or a whale shark, these massive aquatic animals, and then we're going to see this, where it's going to make a blue whale look like a minnow kind of thing.
Kind of like a megalodon or something.
I think it's even going to dwarf that.
Oh, yeah, probably.
It's going to be huge. We're like, oh no. Like, let's send in our Navy to stop this thing.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to.
But is this is the serpent that they were talking about in Genesis?
The serpent?
Yeah, in Revelation, they said that
I don't see why
the serpent, it says the serpent, the old serpent or whatever, and they're referring to back to Genesis when it's talking about the serpent tempting Eve. So that bad boy.
Well, I think the serpent tempting Eve was just like a snake.
Well, you would think, because that's what you think of as serpents,
because
but
it was in the garden.
Okay, but there was also water
coming out
of every side of the garden, so.
But I just thought it was just like regular snake.
And it had legs and feet, like, so it could crawl. It could, or not crawl, but like walk, because that's God took him away. So when he cursed him. So yeah, but like Revelation, where I don't remember the exact reference, but it talks about the dragon. And it says the old serpent, or the serpent of old, or I can't remember the exact wording, but yeah. And if that is the same as Leviathan, maybe not, because there's got to be more than one Leviathan, you would think. Just because, like, there's more than one sparrow out there, there's more than one horse.
Yes, but maybe say the Leviathan has a longevity.
Did Leviathan never dies? Like, it's like immortal or whatever?
Not immortal, but just
because Leviathan is Satan, or
well, I think Leviathan's just a sea creature
that was possessed by Satan, maybe.
Well, I'm just saying it's a sea creature, not Satan aside. A sea creature, like a whale is a whale, not possessed by the devil.
Okay, right. But in Genesis, what is it, chapter 2 or 3 or whatever
I think they're separate entities. They're separate things.
But why would it be specific and say the old serpent?
Okay.
Why?
Because
why would it be so clarify?
All right, gotta clarify, because the Leviathan has a very, very, very long life. So it was there and it continued to live.
So this Leviathan in Genesis is the same Leviathan in Revelation?
And the same Leviathan in Job.
So there's only one Leviathan?
Could be.
Well, that's weird to me, because that's like saying there's only one elephant.
There is. You just imagine them all. But you think if there's a lot of these things, massive creatures, there wouldn't be much life we would actually see one pop around. Something that big is an apex predator. Not much is gonna.
Yeah. Maybe it's just hibernating or something. Waiting for the proper moment.
But anyhow, I just think it could be something that has very long lifespan. Or when it, breeds, it only does one every so many years. Like an elephant, 2-year gestation period.
Mm-hmm. Basically, well, it's I think 22 months or something like that.
But still, it's like basically 2 years.
Yeah.
This thing could have something similar. It could only give birth to one at a time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would think something that big would have probably big babies, I wouldn't think that it would. But there would have to be at least 2 in order to keep, at all times, in order to keep the Leviathan generation going.
But this is all we don't know for sure, but I think the talk about serpent of old is Leviathan. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, that's...
And again, it has a very long... There's tortoises that live hundreds of years.
Yeah.
This thing could live a long time.
Thousands of years?
Possibly. I don't know. We have nothing to go off of. Just we know there's a sea serpent called Leviathan.
Yeah. See, I have so many more. like so much curiosity and questions now about the Leviathan creature, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, when you see things like that, again, it's like, this is like, wow, this opens up.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary that it's like, okay, let's try to bring this back to life. You're like, no, let's not.
Well, and that's the thing too. They say Leviathan will rise from the sea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but what if it was man-made? Like what they just did with the little white...
No, I don't think it's man-made, because Leviathan...
No, but I'm saying, like, what if they got a hold of something and used its DNA, cloned it, and put it out in the water, or it got out in the water somehow, and then that's it you know, maybe they thought, oh, well, it must have died or something, and then one day it arises from the sea.
That's possible. I think think of the angels locked up.
Yeah.
And waiting to be released. Same kind of thing. It's doing its thing. It's like...
But see, the Bible talks about that God locked them up.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bible doesn't, at least to my knowledge anyway, doesn't say that God chained up Leviathan in the sea.
No. But maybe Leviathan just, again, just chilling. And now it's time to come up. He's like, okay.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Okay. Chapter 8. Back to Noah. The flood recedes. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the flood waters began to recede. The underground waters stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the sky were stopped. So the flood waters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time that the flood began, the boat came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. 2.5 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. So far, they're in the boat that's 7.5 months. That's crazy. After another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the flood waters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and it could find dry ground. But the dove could find no place to land because the water still covered the ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Then Noah knew that the flood waters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and then released the dove again. This time it did not come back. Noah was now 601 years old. On the first day of the new year, so April 1st, 10.5 months after the flood began, the flood waters had almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat. That must have been very heavy. Made of all that wood and then all the pitch, too, on both the inside and outside.
They probably had tools.
Yeah, they must have.
To break the pitch.
Some kind of Oh, okay.
So it's like they knew where the seam was, so they broke it. So they broke the seal.
Yeah, and they must have had some kind of pulley system or something to help pull the...
Probably pried it open.
Yeah.
Had some pry bars and 2 guys on each side just...
Yeah, that must have been really heavy. But again, they could do that because God didn't shut that. So Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Yay! So how many? That was 12 and a half months, if I'm counting that right. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice, and said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of the human race. Even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood, I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." Something that just stuck out to me was verse 21. After Noah had built the ark and built the altar to the Lord, and he was sacrificing as burnt offerings the animals and birds that were approved for that purpose, right? So then the verse 21 says, "And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice."
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how it smelled. Like, was it like a barbecue?
No, because the animal would have been a full animal. There would have been hide on it, and its guts and everything.
So, but what would it have smelled like, though?
Have you ever smelled burnt hair?
Burnt hair, yeah.
And burnt fat?
I don't know if I've smelled burnt fat. I don't know, maybe I have and I just didn't realize. But burnt hair, oof.
But
that stinks.
Ever have a steak and it had a lot of fat on it, and it's on the barbecue, and
yeah, I guess
it would
so.
have that smell, but
like a char.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably wouldn't smell nice to us.
Well, I'm not a fan of the burning hair smell. So.
But when they kill it, I don't know if they say quarter it so they could actually put it on the altar easier, or if they just like.
I don't know. I don't know how they. I've never seen it done, so.
But yeah, they just put the whole animal.
I'm really
there.
glad of that, by the way, that I've never seen it done. We are through our 3 chapters. Yes. Did you have anything to add?
No.
You said you had some things to mention kind of along the way or whatever, or did we already talk about them?
Yeah, we were talking about them.
Oh, okay.
Just like small things where I said it's like there would have been, adolescent animals. We touched on Leviathan more than I thought we would, but...
Sorry, that really intrigues me.
It is something interesting.
Yeah, that's...
Because you think all the fish, it's like the waters come down. We have lakes and for fresh water.
Yeah.
And rivers. And all of these things.
I got about 4 hours sleep last night, so I'm really tired. Sorry for the yawn.
And so all the flood water that covered the earth, how much of it was salt water? Or as it went down, all this water was poured into the low areas,
Well,
washing sediment.
yeah, that's true.
Because it's like, okay, we don't, and again, I think...
I kind of wonder, though, just you mentioned about the salt water.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wonder if maybe kind of everything got hit by the salt water to at least some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because God, the whole purpose of this was to purify the earth, right? Yeah. And salt is a purifier.
Yeah.
So...
But I also think...
That's just a guess. I don't know.
God told Noah, just let all the animals out. Now, I think... we could only guess at that, but... So these animals kind of migrated to where they are now. Because we have kangaroos in Australia, but we don't have them in South America. So all these animals, God's like, okay, you're going to be in this area. So they had fish spawn where they were born, like the salmon. So they're born and they just know. And I think God just went, okay, you navigate here, 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 here. And
when you say that, though, like Australia is like its own little entity.
Yeah.
Right? And it's off. It's like an island. So
it's a continent.
Well, yes, but it's...
Yeah.
So how did the kangaroos get there? How did the koalas get there? They hopped.
That's how kangaroos move around. They hopped.
They hopped through the ocean?
No. There's still enough land for them to hippity hop all the way from where the mountains of Ararat are to Australia.
How?
What do you mean, how?
No, but I mean, like... What? Then, if that's the case, and there was some land that they were able to cross, where, or I guess when in history here in the Bible, did the oceans fill that in?
Well, time of when the flood was happening.
Yeah, but then if that's the case, then that would have been too soon and there would have been no land for them to cross over.
Well, as water, there was like still upheaval of land and everything else, and things settled down. Noah didn't build boats and ship them.
UPS.
Didn't get Amazon to...
No, but I just,
They migrated there.
Yeah, but then I just want to know, where in the Bible does it say, now that the animals are where they're supposed to be, we filled in the water with the ocean. The oceans filled in the gaps.
It doesn't say in the Bible, but we know they got there. So there was obviously land for them to get there still.
Well, and I guess, I ask these questions because, I have an inquiring mind, but if you look in the New Testament, and I think it was John, and it says that if everything, all of everything that Jesus did had been recorded, you know what I mean? There would have been like massive volumes, and you couldn't hold it all, right?
No, you couldn't, because he did so much.
So I guess that's sort of similar to, some of the details are left out,
And there's a lot of times where God healed somebody. He's like, don't tell a soul. Don't tell anybody I did this. He probably did that thousands of times.
Yeah.
Like, after they had recorded every person he healed, be it they were born with some kind of like gimpy legs, or, they were in an accident.
Yeah.
Or whatever happened. And God's like, okay. It's like, yeah, I lost my leg. And they just, got ripped off, and they cauterized it. And it's just, I just have a stump, and God restored a person's leg. Or a healing, or from whatever disease. There would be so much. It's like they couldn't have enough paper to write it down.
Yeah.
So there's tons of stuff that happened. Like,
I think it's interesting too, like how the Bible you can fit and talk about like Old Testament and New Testament like simultaneously, like we just did. Like I just brought that up, like tied it all together.
Yep. But yeah, there's a lot happened. There's a lot happened in 100. What can happen in 100 years?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. So what happened?
Like an entire person's lifetime is 100 years. Now,
And there are some people that were born in 1908. Then they saw World War One. Then they saw World War Two.
They probably fought in World War One, or they would have
World War Two, possibly.
Or if they lied about their age, they could have fought in the one. Yeah.
But it's like they would have saw the First and the Second World War, and possibly Korea and Vietnam. And they would have been very, very old. And you'd be like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And they would.
Well, they would have even seen the Gulf War. You said 1908?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 100 years, it would have been 2008. So they would have seen the Gulf War. They would have seen 9/11. They would have seen Afghanistan and Iraq, and they would have seen Saddam Hussein hanged. They would have seen Bin Laden.
He's still alive.
Nah.
I think so. That person would have seen so much.
Yeah.
Noah was 600 years old.
Yeah.
Imagine he wrote every day in his diary.
Oh, Noah had a diary?
Could have been.
Dear diary.
But
your pal, Noah.
But I'm just saying, say he had, wrote something every single day.
Yeah.
From when he was a small child and he was able to write until he was 600 years old, to the flood. Big days happening today. God's going to flood the world. Don't know what that is, but
we shall see.
So that there would be sort of libraries the size of cities to be able to hold all that was written down.
Yeah.
So how did they get there? They got there, obviously, by land.
Yeah.
So there's a means for them. God drew them to these areas, and that's where they settled.
Yeah.
And he knew it would be best place for them. You want to live here.
Do you think that Noah and his sons and their wives, that they all stuck around together, or do you think that they maybe Ham went over to Australia with the kangaroos, or and maybe Japheth went to Africa,
I think they probably stuck together for a while, then moved, because You think, was it Abraham and Lot? And they decided our herds are too big.
Oh, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. Soon. That's coming up in a few chapters.
So, two people with their families, and they're like, our herdsmen are fighting. There's too many of us. You decide where you want, and I'll go in the other direction. So they did. So imagine 4 families doing that. Mm-hmm. After a while, it's going to get crowded in a small area. So they're like, we're going to go over there. And they just started heading place, and they decided this is a good place to stop.
And not only that, but they probably were a little annoyed with each other too after being trapped in a boat
for like a year.
And then after that, like still hanging around each other.
It's like, I don't want to see your face right now.
Like, I need to go.
I love you, but see you later.
This is what I'm saying. That's so funny.
Yeah, so they migrated, and the families did and the animals did, and that's where.
Yeah.
But I think they stuck around, and then cities started growing because they did a lot of procreating.
Well, that was their command, like God said, be fruitful and multiply.
How young was Noah's wife?
I don't. Does it ever even talk about her? It just talks about him and the son.
And it
mentions that they have wives, but that's it.
So it's like, how old was she? She would have been old. He was 600.
Yeah.
And still spry enough to populate the world.
Well, maybe she was younger. Listen, hear me out. I don't know how old she was, but he wasn't. It says that Noah had 3 sons. Mm-hmm. Okay? It doesn't talk about any other. Does it talk about any other kids? No, it doesn't talk about any other kids. It just says at 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So, what if...
That's 3 different...
No, what?
Saying had multiple wives?
Oh, no. He could have had the same wife, but what if she was only like 100 years old? Or like, what if she was like 67? Or something, but still breeding age, right? Like,
and Sarah was 99.
Yeah, but that was even after after the flood. So, but so Noah was 500 when he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And actually, that's interesting. You mentioned that the other day, actually, and I kind of breezed over it, but you mentioned, were they triplets?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say, but
I think it was because just think biologically, it takes 9 months for a baby to grow.
Yeah.
Then after a baby's born, it takes a woman's body a while to be able to recover to be able to do that again.
Yeah. But, though, at the same time, you would think that, and it doesn't mention all the sets of multiples, right? But, like, if they're a big one like this, right, you would think that it would mention that they were triplets, because it mentions about Jacob and Esau.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, if it's mentioning twins, you would think it would mention triplets.
Yeah.
Especially triplets that were so notable.
Yeah, because...
So maybe they're not triplets. Maybe they're just brothers. And maybe they were just born in close proximity or something. But it's also possible that they could have been triplets, which is interesting.
And again, just a thought, but it's like... They would have been doing lots of procreating.
Yeah. Oh, but that's what I was going to say. If Noah was 500 when they were born, or when...
Yeah.
So it says after he was 500.
Yeah.
So... He was at least, he was at least 500. But it never says how old his wife is. So what if his wife is like really young? What if he waited a while before he got married? And what if his wife is a lot younger than him? And then that would, knowing that they needed her to be on board with repopulating.
And again, I think God would have let her body be able to.
Yeah, that's true too, but.
Again, it's like, I'll bring up Sarah, it's like, she laughed, it's like, God, it's like, well, I'm way too old, you're foolish, kind of thing. It's like, I can't do this. And God's like, yeah, you can, here you go.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess I feel like she must have been younger than, at least younger than him anyway.
Yeah, that's quite possible. It doesn't say, it just says his wife.
Yeah. Because she would have been needed to also repopulate. Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, there's 3 other girls, but she's needed too. Yeah. There's nobody. So, like, yeah, I don't know. I think she must have been younger by some degree.
But you think, say, after another 100 years, and they had a kid every year, all 4 of them could make 400 babies in a year.
What?
Sorry. 4 people, 4 couples. Say they live another 100 years. Right?
Okay.
They could have.
Oh. Okay.
400 people.
The way you said it, it sounded like they were having 400. Like those 4 women were having 400 babies per year.
No.
And that's why I was like, what?
They're not like a pig. They came out this time.
Wow. It's a whole litter. I wonder though if God, maybe there was a lot of multiples then.
Could have been.
A lot of multiple births, like especially like going from Noah and his family, but also with Adam and Eve too. Like and the early generations there must have been a lot of multiple births if
probably, yeah.
Because they would have needed it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And none of those multiples were mentioned. So
nope. Again, if they recorded every birth.
Yeah, but no, I guess
it's like he begot this person. It would have been like skyscraper high book going through the genealogy of these people.
Speaking of begotten, our next chapter, our next section.
Oh yeah.
There's 3 chapters that we're going to cover again, and
all begotten stuff.
Basically, 2 of those chapters are begettens. It should be fun. Yeah. Names and names of people, names of places. So, but yeah, we'll
end this and so we can feed the cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can see our cat's ribs. He's emaciated. He hasn't eaten about 5 hours.
Yeah. The fat tub of lard on the ground rolling about. Yeah. Emaciated.
Give me a sec.
Yeah. So next time we are going to start at Genesis 10. And probably go through chapter 12. Yeah. So, yeah. Should be fun. Yep. You'll not want to miss me mispronouncing every name under the sun. So join us next time for chapters 10 through 12. Anyway.
All right.
See
you
you.
later.
Have a good week. Bye.